Welcome to the rabbit hole, everybody. I'm Theron, and this is...
I am Mur.
What?
I am Mur.
Oh, okay, good.
Alright. Doing drugs.
I think we ended it...
Look at me, I'm doing drugs.
Oh, dude, I got drugs, too.
Doing drugs.
I got drugs, dude. Coffee!
Look at me, I'm doing drugs.
Oh, man, he got more drugs.
Doing drugs.
Hey, technically, these are legal, so... They're not...
Look at me, I'm doing drugs.
They're not drugs if they're legal.
This is the mindset of many Americans. That is the mindset of many people. I've had some personal conversations with people, and I ask them... I'm going to get out of the accent. I ask them why they don't smoke weed, and they say, because it's illegal. And then I'm like, I explain to them that coffee fucks me up just as much as weed does. And then I ask them why they're able to do coffee but not weed. And they're like, because coffee's legal, but weed's illegal. So some people are willing to do a drug just because it's legal. I think that, like, there's that saying growing up. I mean, now it just makes me think of South Park, but drugs are bad, okay? Everybody would say drugs are bad when you're growing up, and I don't think that drugs are bad, but I also don't think they're good. I think, like we've said before, they're just tools, and depending on the person and how they use them, it could be beneficial or detrimental. It just depends on the drug and how you're doing it. Obviously, there's certain ones, meth, crack, I'm not saying that there's any fucking real benefit to using those, but maybe there is, I don't know about it, but...
Yeah. You never hear someone's like, dude, I smoked meth and my life got back together.
No. You don't hear that? You also never hear, man, I really had this fucking mushroom addiction and I had to fucking quit and get my life back together.
For the most part, the way it interacts with me, it's you get grossed out with poor ways of living.
Every so often I do a little bit of research on deaths caused as a direct result of LSD or psilocybin.
Like consuming it or like...
Exactly, as a direct result of consuming it.
Or anything?
No, yeah, because there's always the stories about people doing stupid shit while on a drug, but that could happen on alcohol. Yeah, so I dismiss all that. But as a direct result of dying from LSD or mushrooms, you'd have to eat such an insane amount that you would throw up first. LSD, I've read one article on Reddit about a person overdosing and dying, but apparently they were doing it straight through an IV, like straight IV LSD straight into the bloodstream.
What the fuck?
So yeah, that's some like drugs like this too.
What message did he get where he's like, I gotta go deeper?
Jesus fucking Christ. Saying, but drugs like this are relatively safe as long as you're not a dummy squirting yourself with the IV full of it.
Right.
Like
they said that I read somewhere saying that you could get away with even taking up to like don't do it, but there's been cases where people have done up to 12,000 micrograms, 12,000, not 1,200, 12,000, and they may need medical attention, and it's usually just to calm them the fuck down because you're like not speaking English, your heart's probably racing.
While we're having this conversation, I keep like the thought keeps popping up in my head. Why are these substances Schedule 1? Is it because they make people more peaceful? Is it because they make people want to make the world like better overall? Like, why are these the ones that get the highest level of punishment for possession or using? And what constantly comes to mind is the Nixon administration in 1970. There's all the things that were going on during that time. And a lot of people, if you tell them that psychedelics were made illegal because they were trying to stop the hippies and the anti-war movement, a lot of people will call bullshit on that.
No, that's legit.
Exactly. So I'm going to pull up an exact quote here by... So Richard Nixon was the president who put in the Controlled Substances Act to make all this stuff illegal.
Yeah, the Nixon administration.
And John Daniel Ehrlichman, I probably am not pronouncing that right. Yeah, he was the counsel and assistant to President Nixon for domestic affairs. You can find this quote on a bunch of different websites. It's on CNN. I'm pulling it up from Vice. But here's a direct quote that Nixon's advisor said. The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies. The anti-war left and black people. You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did. So this is an exact quote from Nixon's advisor.
Right,
so it's kind of, here with the internet,
you can't get away with
ignorance
shit.
is a choice.
Yeah,
you know?
choosing to be
Yeah, we live in the age of technology. So if you don't want to recognize it, these are why these substances were made illegal, and we're still suffering from it in 2017. And if you would just decriminalize drugs, all of a sudden the cops wouldn't have the authority to start harassing these people and pocket checking them for no reason. Like,
made a lot of little
nobody
probable cause.
Exactly, and yet for some reason it's not a conversation you hear being had during the presidential debates or in any political discussions. Nobody's talking about decriminalizing drugs. It makes me furious.
Well, they're doing a good job of keeping me furious.
I think that really what like the bottom line of this whole video is that we would move in the direction towards reaching a solution if we stop treating drug addicts like criminals, if we decriminalize drugs. And like Portugal, you see overdose rates go down, you see injection rates go down, and you see the percentage of people in treatment centers go up. And I think that's the way to go if you're looking at society as a whole. And like they bring up on the Joe Rogan Experience, like if you look at society as a chain and you're only as strong as the weakest link in the chain, then yeah, we need to start bringing up everybody, including if you want to look at someone as a struggling drug addict or whatever, they might just need help. And the way to help them isn't by putting them in a cage.
Right. It's helping them figure out what's wrong with, like, people just don't understand what's happening to them, especially like if you're an addict because of some type of trauma that happened to you when you were a child. You have no idea how to process that, and you might just forgot that that's what you're not processing or not dealing with. You're just who you are now, and you're just trying to repress that fucking thought from ever even reaching the surface. So just down in alcohol or down in fucking doing another line, just trying to party.
But I mean, I think that there's just so many problems that come from
words are confusing. That's the problem. This is a drug. Sure. Okay, well, what the fuck's a drug exactly? Well, these are legal. Okay, so I could do this because you say it's okay? Poison, poison, poison.
I understand a lot of people don't want to specify the drugs that them or a close person to them might have used because it's kind of embarrassing or revealing or whatever, but I think it would be so helpful if people would just, instead of saying the word drugs, they'd just be like stimulants, opiates, psychedelics, fucking pharmaceuticals or alcohol, because...
So yeah, maybe we all as
you don't want to put yourself on blast, but it'd be really helpful to people if you don't say drugs ruin someone's life, and instead you say
clarify what it was exactly.
Yeah, you say methamphetamine ruined their life, not drugs. Fuck,
dude, like Ibogaine, that has like I think it was like 88%. I know it's in the 80s.
It's a high percentage
for heroin addiction. And if you're out there saying all drugs are bad, they're poison, especially when you teach kids that, you're lying. And there could be a kid that one day experienced some type of trauma that grows up trying to repress that using drugs. And they might just need... And I'm not saying this could help everybody. I'm just saying there's an opportunity there. If prescription drugs are helping you, I'm not here to tell you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But it's just
But there's also these things over here that are helping people too, that you get locked up for 7 years in federal prison for having. It's
we got to help people figure out themselves. Everyone's different. Everyone's fucking different. We're all complicated beings. Everyone just likes to think it's just it's all simple. Everything is what it is. No, it's not, man.
I just look at the whole situation and I just see in so many areas of society there's dangerous things happening as a result of drugs being illegal. I just don't feel like it's ever made them more safe, because then exactly, because the people who are even still going to do the negative drugs, now they don't have clean access to them, and now they're getting some other shit and they're overdosing, you know? When you know someone who's overdosed, it becomes super frustrating. It's like
arrested for it.
Yeah, if they just would have been given safe access to some stuff, they probably wouldn't have even messed with that drug that killed them. See, there's a lot of negative stories from people getting involved with the wrong drugs, but then I get defensive about it because when we use the word drugs, I look at them as something that have benefited my life so much and made me into the person that I am. So that's why I'm like, wait, drugs, I look at them as a positive thing. So when someone talks about them negatively, that's why I want to start splitting up the words we use. It's super uncomfortable to specifically state which drugs aren't, because people just want to be low-key about everything. Oh, yes, my nephew, he has a drug problem, and he blah, blah, blah. Well, he doesn't have a LSD, psilocybin, mushroom, or cannabis problem. I can tell you that right now. And if he does, he's lucky, because if he has that problem, it would have been something a lot worse, if not that. It would have been alcohol or cheeseburgers or something way more deadly than weed.
Something that doesn't make you think, where if you're going to get in... I'm so grateful that I'm more into those, because I don't drink alcohol ever really anymore, like rarely ever, and I don't have a problem with it. I just don't like how it reacts with me personally. So it's just, but I got really into pot and psychedelics, and they make you think. So like you can't escape. Even if you're having fun, you're still thinking about like I need to improve. Where you can drink alcohol and
turn off that part of your brain. And
I'm not saying for everybody, but for me, I noticed that that's what it was doing for me, and I was like, this is not. What is that? I'm paraphrasing. What's that quote where they talk about where a lot of people with problems, they go at the weed instead of going at the root?
I don't know the quote, but I get what you're saying.
Right. I just realized you're not really going after the problem. Where psychedelics is like, you just lay there. You're like, I'm just going to lay here and think about my shit. Next thing you know, you just lay there for 10 hours on your back, relax, just focusing on what's in your mind. And then you just come out of that. I
said in the LSD for Beginners video, if there's one thing I could say LSD does is it makes you think.
And that might be why they're illegal. That's what I always... Part of why... Right. And you can't capitalize on it. Financially.
Yeah.
You can keep making money if everyone's fucking unhealthy, constantly buying pills or cigarette or whatever it is that's not making them better. But if you give them some freaking Ibogaine, which cures their Oxycontin addiction one time or two times, how do you get rich off of that?
Yeah, the pills people have to keep buying. These things, people take them, and then for 6 months to a year, they're all good now.
Yeah, exactly. And some people might... Don't come at us. It's crazy. Some people might need to be... Bro. I've heard stories in case of people that medications, like pharmaceutical, like antidepressants, I should clarify what, have helped them. So I'm not saying that it doesn't, but I'm just saying shit, bro.
No, I feels it, because we're not trying to say make these Schedule 1 substances legal and make all the stuff that's legal
your shit's
illegal.
Not helping you, bro.
Yeah, that's not what we're saying.
Some people could take acid and might fuck them up mentally, because like we talked about in the LSD, some people might have schizophrenia or some underlying mental health issue that haven't come to fruition. I don't know why I want to use that word yet. But that was proper.
Shit!
Proper
fruition.
Shit, dropping words now, man. Shit.
I think that kind of on a wrap up note, I think that what I realized that psychedelics really made me a better person, and I don't think that everybody needs that to be a better person. But what I think it is that everyone needs certain experiences to happen in their life to make them change for the better. And for me. Almost. Yeah, and for me, it was I needed a psychedelic experience. Maybe somebody else, they have a brain tumor or something, or they lose a loved one, and that makes them change for the better.
Or something.
Exactly. You don't. But for me, I needed a psychedelic experience. Someone who's using drugs is, as my yoga instructor said, someone who's chasing a high is just chasing an experience. And life is all about experiences, so there's nothing wrong with that as long as your life just doesn't revolve around chasing that same experience over and over again.
You're trying to learn from each individual experience.
Yes, right? You have your experience and you learn from it, and that's what I think psychedelics help with. Is they're not the type of drug that you just do every day or every week and just get stuck in it. You do it, you learn from it. Like Terrence McKenna said. Maybe you don't agree with this, but large doses infrequently. Maybe not the large doses part, but trip infrequently. Just learn from it, put in the work, and then... Or
whatever it is that resets you almost to an extent. Like maybe you...
Whatever life experience.
Maybe you just go on a freaking backpacking trip for a freaking 2 weeks somewhere, and that just gives you weird... Maybe you need to do that, or maybe it is you take a mushroom trip, or... Whatever it is. I don't know. You got to figure out what works for you, and that's kind of what we're trying to do with this channel. We're trying to figure out each other, build a community, because we're all just trying to figure some shit out. So we can all just vibe and have a good fucking experience on this fucking spinning rock or flat rock. I don't give a fuck what you believe. I just opened up the fucking door, son.
You just acknowledged flat earthers. How dare you? I don't remember if it was George Carlin or Bill Hicks, but they said you can learn a lot from a society by the drugs they use. And that's what I kind of feel like what we're getting at in this video is if you really look back, if you take a step back and look, like our society is being shaped by the drugs we're using.
Right. Especially a lot of people. What are the drugs that people are doing every day? Caffeine. Why is society just going? It's like, man, now smoke a joint, eat an edible, hit up a yoga class, watch a movie, go on a walk without any music.
Experience life.
Experience life. This is a fun conversation.
Right.
And that's just what this is. No one's telling you shit. We're just having a conversation. If you have some shit to share some links with us in the comments.
Right.
Or
if
don't.
you agree or disagree.
Or
We
you
are
add to
fascinated by drugs because it is fascinating how they work with the human body.
And everyone notices different shit.
Right.
Everyone's mind works different. So maybe you have an experience that will help with us. And so yeah, share that shit if you want to. Only do what you want.
Do what you want.
Do what you want.
Live your life. Chase them experiences.
Chase that buzz, like we've said.
Just chase that buzz.
Right. All right. Well, thank you guys again for checking this out. We love y'all. We out.
Ja.